Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Hull and Back podcast. I'm Matthew Lill, and tonight I'm joined by Ant Norcris, William Young, and Nathaniel. How are we all doing, guys? We all right? Couple of thumbs up.
Adequate.
Okay. We're all good, aren't we? We're all good. So tonight's podcast is forever sponsored and partnered by our Forever Partnerships, which I'll start with, as I mentioned on previous ones, Hull City Retro. For those that don't know who Hull City Retro are, they are a fan base that create the shirts of the past, things that we couldn't get our hands on when we were growing up. And if you want authentic, we're talking £200-300. These replicas, very, very good replicas, are only £50 a go. So check them out on Twitter. At the very least, find it's Hull City Retro. Second one is Hull Badgeman. Darryl does a cracking job in terms of making badges up. He's forever looking for new ideas. This is a bit of a dying art at the moment, so it'd be really good if local fans and people in the local area could just help out and buy a badge. Like I say, it's a dying art, and Darryl's a really good guy. And I don't know about anybody else, but I grew up walking past a guy and nagging my dad for a badge every time. So if we can do that, that'd be brilliant. And lastly, to touch on, is Charlie Spalding, filmmaker. Works a lot in the motorsport at the moment in terms of creating films and photography, and he's also worked with the likes of Adidas and Jackie Abbott. So I mention these names every time. It's because he's got an incredible portfolio at the moment. So check him out. He might even help you out on a wedding. So get involved on it to check it out. So what I'd like to start today's podcast on is the growing pressure on Grant McCann. It's evident for everyone to see. He's not doing the best at the moment, as results show. His formula, it works perfectly. And I think one man who would love to share how much he loves this formula is the man behind Ant's rant himself. So, Ant, tell us all about the formula and everything you love about it, please.
Everything I love about it.
Sum it up in one word, yeah? Nothing.
Do you know what? I admire the way that he sticks to it for so long and is adamant that it works. I just don't know how someone can have the record that he has in this league and still be so positive about it. Like, he's coming out of games, he's saying we're playing well, we're doing everything right. This secret formula, whatever he's on about, that he pretty much claims that everyone can see what he's trying to do when he really can't. Like, we're struggling to put the ball in the back of the net. We're struggling to defend set pieces. We're struggling to control the game from the middle. We're struggling flat out. You know, if Derby didn't have the points deduction in this league, us and Barnsley would just be marooned at the bottom. And I think that his stubbornness and his, I don't know, he's quite, because he can't, I don't know if he's in some sort of world of his own, but he just can't see what everybody else can see. I don't know what his coaching staff are saying to him or what the players are saying to him, but what's weird at the moment is his system seems to be going against what the players say they like playing. So, you know, maybe there's a bit of a rift there starting to happen. Because if you remember, Bernard was saying that all the lads felt more comfortable in the 3-5-2 that we played against Borough than they have in the 4-3-3. And as soon as he got a chance to go back to that system, he took it with both hands. So, you know, it's got to be coming from the top. It has to be an EHAB demand for some.
It comes across to me a bit like, has anybody seen Moneyball? The film on Netflix. Moneyball's, correct me where I go wrong here, Will, but it's an up-and-coming coach who comes into an American football team and he bases it completely on stats and analytics, isn't it? He doesn't go for the big name signings. He just goes for people that are doing the right things in the right areas for the position the pitch he's looking for. And it seems like he's just going off that. He's not looking at what the result is on the game. He's just looking at what people are doing individually, which then also comes a little bit contradictory when you look at some performances. But for me, in my point of view, we're doing a lot of the stuff in terms of getting the ball to the final third. And, you know, sometimes we do look lost. We do look like we've got no idea what we're going to do with the ball. But sometimes we just get that ball in there and it's lacking that killer touch. And you can't blame the manager for the killer touch, but what you can blame him for is the constant bad decisions he makes. So it's a bit of a tough one at the moment. And like Ant rightly said, his first chance of going back to 4-3-3, he took it. Whether it's down to injuries or not is up for debate, really, isn't it? But it is what it is on that one. Anything to add on there, like Will or Nathaniel? What's your views in terms of the growing pressure on him? I think we're all on the same boat at the moment.
I think you might have been mentioning it, but don't fucking abuse his family.
No, it's not on, is it?
There's a difference between critique and abuse. And it's funny seeing it because only a few days ago, Steve Bruce obviously left Newcastle United, and there were stories about obviously his mental health issues and all that, and all the abuse he gets from them. And you'd see a lot of City fans say it's disgraceful the way Newcastle fans are treating him. And then there's
I hope
same
Newcastle
City
get
fans.
relegated. I hope Newcastle get relegated was the exact words.
Aye. But then you get the same fans who were defending Bruce over this abuse, sometimes saying crap about McCann. And it's like...
It's amazing what frustration brings out people. I'm not condoning it, but it's amazing what it brings out people. When you put your own time, effort, money into supporting something and you're not seeing those values reciprocated, it becomes a little bit difficult and frustration starts to kick in. So I understand it. What can't be condoned is, like you said, messaging his family. I mean, it's a 15-year-old guy just trying to enjoy social media like everybody else does, and he's having to take abuse for something his dad doesn't work. You know, I think I put a tweet out at the time saying, if I don't hit my sales target, my daughter's going to start getting a load of hate mail. What's all that about? I mean, it's not replicable in any way, and it's not on. So if you're doing it, just move yourself away from the club because you're not welcome. And I think I speak for all of the fan base when I say that. You're not welcome. So, anyone else to add on to that?
I mean, I think you can see that it's always a minority. You're going to get it with every club. You're going to get it with every aspect of life. You're always going to get trolls probably hiding behind fake profile pictures and fake profile names and saying what they want online because they can. You know, at the end of the day, social media needs to do more to stop that kind of thing happening. I mean, we've had it all at the front of the news in terms of racism and how they deal with, you know, players receiving abuse in the same kind of way. And I guess that, you know, the way that they deal with trolls and making multiple accounts and just banning one and allowing them to make another, the kind of, you know, how do you stop it kind of thing, you know? But at the end of the day, if you are the kind of person that's messaging someone's kid for the job that is nothing to do with them, then you're a special kind of wrong. And it's just, like I was saying, you don't want to be affiliated with those kind of people. So if it is you, then just, you know, pack it in.
I mean, we've got no culprits for this. We don't know who it was. To be fair, I don't really want to know who it is. I just thought after it's come out in the limelight, they just know not to do it because it's not acceptable enough. As long as we can stop one extra person getting, you know, that abuse in their inbox, you know, it's job done in it in some aspects. But I mentioned this on the last podcast we were just on with Paul Woodford. Twitter gives you a place where you can write whatever you want, and there's zero repercussion. You know, you can just frustrate out what you want, and it's not acceptable. As long as you can be frustrated and get your point across without being insulting. And I think some people forget that. But we started the podcast on a bright note, as you can tell. So, I'm going to move on to the next section now. So just move on to the next section. I'd like to talk about the Luton game. It's yet again another poor result. We lose 1-0 away from home against Luton, who many think on paper aren't the best, but they sit today in the Championship playoff places, and if the season finishes right now, they're in the playoffs. So, you know, credit where it's due to themselves, but we again turn up and underperform. Does anyone want to talk to me about us being the 4-3-3 AFC?
No, I don't really want to talk about it. It's just the same as usual.
It's just, I just don't get why he refuses to even attempt to change. Like, when you're losing.
Like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, you're already losing. Just try it. You never
You've
know.
You've got to look at the possibilities of why he's doing what he's doing. So we've got one, he genuinely believes that the system is working and thinks it will click eventually.
Yeah.
Which is likely. 2, it's orders from the top and he's got no choice but to do it, which is also quite likely.
Yeah, I think
3,
it could be a little from column A, a little from column B there.
Yeah.
Well, why would
And then
the
you've got like
Alans?
3 that he thinks that that's the best what he can do with the players that he's got.
Why would he
I
have?
think it's probably a combination of the three.
Yeah, but why would EHAB want them to persevere with 4-3-3 if it's not working?
But it was
That's what he
the
said,
kind of thing, wasn't it, that they said before? They said that
philosophy.
the philosophy, it's in the club DNA now. It's 4-3-3 because we played it for a bit with Boning and Grosicki. So apparently it's now like the youngsters get taught 4-3-3. That's kind of what they want the club to be doing and going forward with. So
even though
if I'm saying to Grant, look, you've got to play this way because this is the club's identity, then he's a yes man, isn't he? At the end of the day,
is he teaching them this 4-3-3? Because we've got some players that have been playing it for 3 seasons now and still don't know how to do it. So it's a bit of a worry, So,
yeah, I mean, I guess it would be a big change.
Point, actually,
because it's not just this season. It's McCann's. He's been here longer than probably the average manager in the league.
This is third season, isn't it?
Yeah, we should really have a philosophy, and there's players like Elder and Honeyman and McGuinness who've been here, who are key players who've been there all 3 seasons.
Do you know what is frustrating about it though? Is the 4-3-3 last season and this season we're playing the same formation, but we're playing a different way. So to me, I think that's what annoys me more is that last season we pressed high, we kept it on the ground, we got it into dangerous areas, and we were decisive in the final third. This year we're very static. There's not a lot of movement ahead of the ball. There's a lot of hitting it long, and there's a lot of dilly-dallying on the ball around the edge of the box. And it just seems like, I don't know if it's a confidence thing. It probably is, because I think the QPR and the Derby games probably knocked the momentum out of them. We've just not recovered since.
Yeah, it did.
But, you've got to think, I don't watch this team, and that team against Luton was pretty much the same side as last year we've been at. And it didn't look like the same team as last season to me. It didn't.
No, and
we didn't play the same way, we didn't do the same things.
We're not playing the same way, we're not playing the same things. In terms of that, the depth of the team is noticeable straight away. We're already camped up at halfway inside our own half at all times, as opposed to being close to the halfway line. In terms of the press, we've never really been a pressing team. Even last year, I don't think it was that big of a pressing team. But being as high as it was, it made it difficult for teams to play through us. As for going forward, we did do a lot of what we're doing at the moment, and that's just putting the ball in the box as much as possible. And it seemed like the same sort of process of throw enough shit, some will stick, and that's how it came across last season. And it's not quite working out this year because the calibre of defender we're coming up against, teams know how to defend better against us. You look at how slow we move the ball. So then when we get to that crossing position, they're already camped. They're already in there. They're already in the positions ready to win a header. You're not getting that run on the centre-back who's already seen your run coming. And that's what we had last season because we had the confidence and we was playing against, I'd say, a worse calibre team to be able to move the ball a little bit faster and be able to get the ball in the box a bit quicker. And I think that's where we're struggling at the moment, the 4-3-3. And that we can't win with it.
I think it's also worth realising that we're probably underestimating the impact that the transfer embargo had on us because I think I saw someone mentioned on a tweet that we made all these signings and we still pretty much played the same side as last year, which means that he doesn't believe the signings that we've done are better than the ones that we had last season, which means that, he's signed players that are squad players that are there to fill in if needs be and that we've not improved. And to stay in this league, you've got to improve. And have we?
But we all know from most successful teams in the world that with squad players, they play their part. You don't just bring in when someone's injured. You have to play them as first team players sometimes. And Liverpool's probably a prime example of that with the likes of James Milner. He isn't a first team player, but he plays a lot of games. When he does, he gets his job done. And that for me is like a prime example when you've got that many centre mids like they have. But sorry, Nathaniel, I interrupted you then, mate.
Well, I mean, it's a slightly different thing, but a team wins the Premier League and they're in the same league the next season. But if just because you've won the league doesn't mean you stay the same, you try and build the team again, don't you? And you sign better players. So, although we did well last year and won the league, we had to. That should be, even more the case for us because we're going up a league as well. And I mean, I don't know whether we would have had the money to sign many good players if there wasn't the embargo, but. Although League One, is a decent league and we did well, and you'd hope that momentum would keep us going. You do need to improve it somehow. And I guess after the Preston game, maybe we just thought, oh no, maybe this team is good enough. But then, of course, the last 13 games have shown that maybe we really did need some proper reinforcements.
I think when making a decision to sign a player, I think there should be a really simple flow chart, and a lot of people should follow it, I guess. You come down and you go, is this person good enough to get in the first team, yes or no? Yes, brilliant, sign him. No? Okay, well, is he a youngster? Is he going to improve? Yes or no? And that's the two. You should never buy a player to get on the bench. You never bring a player on to just fill a gap on the bench. And that mindset for me just blows my mind.
I think in most cases that's the thing. But we did have a very thin squad, and we did need replacements for players if they were injured. So I can understand a lot of the signings. Whereas in they're good enough to step in if Honeyman was injured, for example, that kind of thing. But we signed every single player we signed has been that. There needs to be a mixture of, all right, they're a squad player, he's on loan, he'll be happy to have a bit pie every now and again. But there needed to be like 2 or 3, right, they're going to improve our starting 11, which I think Tyler Smith was meant to be, and he seems to have fallen out of favour. Moncare, I think, is very Marmite with fans, which surprised me. I think a lot see what he brings, and a lot think he's a bit of a wasteful show pony from what I've read.
Not much recently, though.
No,
and I think
he's not really been on the pitch much either.
Only poor decision making for me is keeping Ryan Longman out of the team, and I'm not even doing it to run along with Nathaniel's ongoing joke. But
I like to look at Randall Williams. I think Randall Williams looked like a traditional winger. He's pacey. He's got a good delivery on him, and he scored quite a few goals. And he got a lot of assists. I know it's in League 2, but he still did it. So when you've got someone like Wilkes, who's essentially a passenger at the minute, you're wondering why players they'll be wondering themselves why they're getting in the team. Yeah, look at Emmanuel, who's probably going to be. If I was Emmanuel, I'd be looking for a new club in January. You know what I mean?
He's too good to warm the bench, isn't he?
We've seen this 4-3-3 enough now to know how it works. We have inverted wingers. Our wingers play on the opposite side to what their strongest foot is. So playing Randall Williams and on the right-hand side totally contradicts his game plan because he looks to the likes of Malik Wilkes to come inside and then hit that overlap to Louis Coyle to put it in. So he's either got Malik Wilkes to take a short play ball into the centre of the box, or he's got an overlap where he can play the right foot across. That's the mindset of the 4-3-3. However, if you play Randall Williams there, you totally take that away because Will was watching what game was it what we watched, and I think it might have been Derby, where Randall Williams just didn't have a left foot at all. The amount of times he cut inside,
it was an early game because he's not played much, and I don't get why he hasn't.
I think it was Derby. It might
have been Derby.
Yeah, it was completely off the pace, and that might be down to fitness, but he didn't want to use his left foot at all, which totally contradicts the Grant McCann game plan. That Rams. But that's the only reason I can see him not being in the team. But then put him on right. But
you see, that to me is another criticism on him and his system, because if you're going to play the 4-3-3, then at least have variation in your play. If you're playing KLP and Wilkes and they're inside forwards essentially, then fullbacks know what they're going to do every single time. He's going to cut in on his stronger foot. He's going to try and shoot. So they're going to try and shift him down onto his weaker foot to the bylines, put in a crack cross, and that's what we've been doing. So when we're getting in a game where we can't seem to get that inside forward to wear, then either switch the sides or bring on a couple of players that are on the natural side and can just whip in a few crosses a bit better, get to the byline, have the fullback guessing. Because I think that's the thing that the City fans have. The biggest issue with McCann at the minute is we play the 4-3-3 every game, but at least have different ways of using that formation, different ways of trying to score goals, and we don't do that. We just keep doing the same thing for 90 minutes and then wondering why we're not scoring goals. We scored 9 goals this season. It's really bad. So, if you could see him trying to change it up a bit, he might still have a little bit of faith. But because we know what he's going to do for 90 minutes every single game, nobody can be bothered, because you dread seeing the team sheet at the minute, because it's just the same. We're going to see the same players, we're going to play the same way, and we're going to get the same result. And you can predict, like Nathaniel said, you can copy and paste a match report from one game, stick it on the next one, and just change the name of the opposition, and it's the exact same every single time. We have about 10 minutes where we should score, we don't concede a set piece, game's gone, we concede another near the end, and that's it. That's what it's been all season.
And what we're looking then in terms of Luton, Luton especially, we lose 1-0, and I'm struggling to see any clear-cut opportunities from them again. A lot of people online are putting it down to Coyle, blaming Coyle for the goal in terms of he don't meet his man. He's let a right-footed left-back go on his right foot and cross the ball. I can understand the thought process with that in terms of he should be getting out to him. But again, we can't allow goals when we're only conceding so many little opportunities. And it's tough to watch. It really is. Did anybody walk away with any grace on Saturday? Any players?
The players who didn't play, maybe.
Anyone?
I don't think England did outright.
No,
I saw
suppose
someone give
not.
Ingram man of the match, and I thought he's probably made 2 saves. And is that what it's coming down to now? I can understand it in games where he's getting.
Do you know what? People were taking the mick out of Benzie for saying it, but Smallwood probably was City's man of the match.
He had a
Doherty's
game
been
against Peterborough
consistent
as well.
as well.
That's worrying.
Doherty seems to be the only one who seems to be trying to up his levels at the minute, which is concerning.
And his interview as well during midweek after the Peterborough game was very good to hear as well.
Yeah, it was. Because I think I tweeted out, I believed every single word he said more than any other interview I've ever had over his entire tenure. And you could see that he was in pain.
A lot of fans seem to struggle to concept when someone who they've seen play bad before have a good game. And I think Richie Smallwood falls into that concept. We've seen it many times before, even last season, where he had bad games. And he's coming to this season where people are like, Richie Smallwood's shit. It's shit. I thought he definitely had a real good game against Preston. I don't know if Brentford are. He had a great game against Preston. Peterborough, he comes on cold off the bench, no warm-up, and he gets straight in there. And I think the first thing he does is intercepts a pass to stop them going on the counter, and he does that for the rest of the game. Granted, I understand the mindset of when you look at it in comparison against Huddleston, his passing isn't going to look as good. But he made some really good, again, on Saturday, he made some really good passes and broke down some really good play. And these last 2 performances are being good for him,
Smallwood's one of these who, at this level, will get found out more often than not. I do think that he's intended to be starting every game. Obviously, we would have had Huddleston playing. And I do think that when Jones is back fit and we're playing this 4-3-3, to have Bernard and Greaves as centre-backs and then put Jones back in that anchoring midfield role would be the best way forward. But Smallwood's just... He knows what he's doing and he's good at it. It just won't be like that every game. Like sometimes he'll be a bit behind the pace. He's not as quick to get into the ball and gets. He leaves the defenders isolated sometimes. But some games, like you say, against Preston, for example, and the last couple of games, he's done okay. So he's not. He's up for a lot of criticism because he's easy to criticise. Is the easiest way to put it. But
it's an unconscious bias, isn't it? We've seen him play shit, and all we look for is him doing shit stuff now. That's exactly how it works, and that's exactly what's happening with him. Some that can look above it. I was saying to Will, the way I look at a game, I look at it as a neutral. I'm a Hull City supporter, but I look at it as a neutral because then I feel like I give the best. I can look at the game fairly. It allows me to, I think, analyse it a little bit better because there's no bias involved, or I'm not looking for reasons to say Hull City shit just because Grant's in charge, or we're playing better because we are Hull City. I like to think I look at it from a neutral point of view. But did anybody spot this at the weekend? So we call him Mr. Stubborn. He's the most stubborn manager we've ever had. He listened to us. Did anybody see it?
No.
63rd minute, I think it was.
Oh, I took Wilkes off.
There it is.
I knew you'd all be happy about that. Yeah.
I was so excited. I was just a little bit gutted it wasn't Ryan Longman coming on. So, and that was mainly for your sake, Daniel.
You're stealing my thing.
No, I don't like to talk about the big D, but we'll move on. And that the mindset in terms of how we're talking about and how it gets us down talking about Hull City in our previous performances. I've brought something a little bit different to the table, and I want us to play a new game. I thought of it today. It could be a hit, it could be a miss, it could be a flop. I don't really care, but it's called Tackle Fight Night. So we've all played the game before. Notoriously seen on Gavin and Stacey, Shag, Marry, Void. Well, this is tackle fight night. Okay, so I'm giving 3 players, and I want you to separate them into tackle. So you've got to take a bone crunching 2-footer off this player. Okay. The second one, it's a fight. You've got to fight this guy. All right. And the third one, you're going to go on the piss up. You're going on a night out with them. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it have to be in a specific order?
Yeah. No. Yeah. So I'll give you the 3 names. So you just got to tell me which ones you want. So the 3 names for you, and I'll go with Dean Windass, Jimmy Bullard, and Marlon King.
That's incredibly easy.
I think I definitely want to. I fight Bullard because he seems quite, from what I've seen of him on the pitch, he seems quite a coward. Yeah, he's definitely a bit of a coward. God, the tackle from either of the other two, though. I'd have to take a tackle from King just because I need the night out with Dino, I think. Marlon King is definitely putting me on crutches for about 6 months, but
you're getting a lump on your head, mate. He's going to nut you in the casino afterwards as well.
And he's probably getting another prison sentence.
So we've gone for a bone crunching tackle from Marlon King, a fight with the very cowardly Jimmy Bullard. Hopefully you didn't see this. Actually, I don't mind.
I don't give a shit.
And then a night out with Hull's famous Dean Windass. So if you're listening, Dean, Ant fancies a night out, mate. Who wants it next?
You go, Will.
Happy I volunteered.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit different for yourselves. So it'll be Malik Wilkes, Dean Marney, and Fraser Campbell when he refused to come back the first time.
Ooh.
I'll take a tackle from Wilkes because he's fucking powder puff on a tackle.
He'd wrestle you, wouldn't he? Just be wrestling you. I feel if I fought Manny, I'd get the shit kicked out of me. So probably go on the piss with Manny and fight Campbell. How do you reckon you get on? Yeah. How do you reckon you get on with Campbell?
I'd probably lose regardless, but...
Well, Campbell's short, right?
Campbell seems quite streetwise to me, though. He'd be a dirty fighter.
Yeah,
that's true.
And you definitely don't want the 2 foot off Manny either, yeah, let's be realistic.
No,
you didn't have a street fight.
You'd never walk again.
I mean, judging by the tabloids, you don't know what fight you're going to end up with Malik Wilkes, yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Wilkes is quite strong. I think he was quite wise in not fighting Wilkes because he is quite stocky. He doesn't use it very often.
So Nathaniel, that leaves you with the crowd favourites. So you've got David Marley, Ian Ashby, and Paul McShane.
Oh, well, I'm not going to fight. Well, no, I'd have to go.
You literally said my 3 favourite players.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, I think Myler, he seems quite nice, right? He's got the YouTube channel and he's always smiling and stuff. So, I mean, maybe. Oh, this is difficult. I don't want to get tackled by any of them.
Tackle from any of these 3.
I definitely don't want to tackle from Ashby because I'd die. And then McShane. I take a tackle from Myler. I think that's bad, but not as bad as the others. And I'd go drinking with McShane, I think.
You'd fight with Ashby?
Oh yeah, oh dear. Well, see, all of these options are terrible, but like, I wasn't like around, or I wasn't following City when Ashby was there, so I wouldn't want to go drinking with him. Although then I'd get to know McShane. I'd get to know Ashby on a night out then, and I'll fight Paul McShane.
I mean, Ashby just looks like he's taking his son out for the night, though, wouldn't he? Let's be realistic. Go on,
yeah, maybe.
So to confirm,
I think you lose regardless in that one.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm weedy, like, you know, physically and like mentally, you know. They just beat me in a fight by turning up.
Brilliant. So to confirm that one, then, so you're taking a 2-footer off Myler. You're going to have a 1-to-1 with Paul McShane. And to celebrate your loss, you're going to go out with Ian Ashby on the pitch, yeah?
Yeah, that's a good night out, that, yeah.
Perfect. Anyone want to throw 3 players my way? Ashby all City players.
Get her Fatty El Mohammedi.
You want me to do them 3?
Why not?
Realistically, I don't know much about Guido or Fatty. I presume they don't speak much English, so I'd have to go on the night out with Elmo. Fatty wasn't that big, so I reckon I might be able to take him actually. So
It looked like a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, it's all right. No, I'll fight Fatty and then I'll take the 2-footer off Guido.
Yeah.
I'll take the 2-footer off Guido.
Tackle off a striker's not going to be that bad, is it?
No.
Or it could be worse.
Maybe. Wild, yeah.
But then I go on a night out with Elmo after battering Fatty, and then Elmo puts it on me as well. So
you'd want to do that anyway, wouldn't you? Elmo's a character, so that'll be good.
Right then. So what do you think that boys are doing with that?
Oh, marvellous.
Yeah. Cheers. Right, for this next section, I think you learned from the last episode that I do like to paint a picture and try and run away with a little bit of a mindset. So we just received a phone call. Grant's finally been shown the door. I work in recruitment. They've advised me. They've asked me to find a replacement. So I'm going to put it to you guys because I don't know who's available at the moment. And who would you say? Who would you say I have to approach in terms of getting him in for the whole thing?
Is there any restrictions? Does it have to be realistic?
We have to be realistic.
They have to be a football manager.
That's no fun. I don't know if Wilder is realistic. I would like to see him because I like the system he played with Sheffield United with 3 at the back. I think he'd get the best out of Elder and Emmanuel if he was here. I don't know if he would take this job, so I'll go with... I
think he might be going to Cardiff.
So I think I'd go with... do you know what? I wouldn't mind Chris Hughton, to be fair. He had a bad rap at Forest, but he's done well everywhere else.
Some people just don't land at a certain job, do they? They just don't land well there.
And he's got a good bit of championship experience behind him. He's probably can coach
too much respect to come here, though, probably.
Yeah, but I think realistically, I think we're probably after the likes of Alex Neil, personally.
Yeah.
Did anybody see that clip from Ben Foster's podcast recently? On his podcast, he talked about the mindset of footballers on with transfers in mind, especially. He touches on the fact that players can be one day live in the perfect world. You know, they've got the house set up, they live in a nice area, the children go to a certain school. There's all these different factors that go into it. And the next day they get a phone call, it's transfer deadline day. And in the space of one day, their world turns upside down. You know, they've got to try and convince a partner that they need to move to a different part of the country. If they do move there, does a partner come with them? If they do, they've got to get the kids in school and live in a hotel for a certain time. And the way that blends into this part is we often see managers lose the job a lot more often we see players get transferred. And those jobs can be 2 and 5 between. So you might see a manager, and this, like, I thought of it with Chris Hughton in terms of, he was at Brighton not so long ago. And then he's at Nottingham Forest. And that's a big sort of move to do for a manager and a person who's not on the same sort of money as a footballer. So I think a lot of that needs to go into the mindset, not mindset,
especially
the thought
like
processes. Yeah, when you're thinking about why people underperform, like managers underperform certain places, like his setup and his support network might be miles away, you know, and they're the sort of things to take into consideration with management and why people underperforming. So so Ant's mentioned it, Alex Neil, is it Neil?
Yeah.
Neil.
As the realistic target, yeah.
I think that's quite realistic, really.
Yeah. Is that your
probably,
answer as well?
Yeah, I mean, probably I would have taken Neil rather than McCann when we got McCann. I mean, you have to look at that because, you know, maybe we're only looking at managers who would be from League One because Neil is a Championship experienced manager. He's been, you know, promoted from the Championship to the Premier League. I know that was a few years ago, so it's difficult to tell what's realistic sometimes because, as you say, you know, it might be a different circumstance that we might think, oh, no manager wants to come to Hull, but maybe they actually live close by or they want a challenge or something. So it's difficult to tell what's realistic. But I think Alex Neil would be, it's slightly optimistic, but also not completely out of the realms of
No,
possibility.
I get that. What about you, Will?
See, I'm not sure because I don't know who would want to come at the moment at all. I was looking early today while I was at work at managers who are currently free agents. I was really doing it to wind up my Man United workmate, but it wouldn't happen. But I did notice that Eddie Howe's currently a free agent.
I'm surprised he hasn't gone anywhere in a while because he got sacked
He wanted a break from football, didn't he? For at least a year. He took a sabbatical. I think he's waiting for the Leeds job personally.
Possibly, yeah.
Went all that sharing on us, did he? Just disappeared. So is that we going with Eddie Howe?
That's the one. That's the closest to being unrealistic I think is possible.
Hey, Farker will be out of a job soon.
Yeah.
We'll definitely play attacking football under him.
I know, but he's got a similar record to McCann at the moment, hasn't he? Just in the high
league.
Premier League, I think I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. Would he be happy working on a shoestring budget again? Because that's all he's ever worked off. He might think he deserves a chance to go somewhere he can spend a bit of money.
I don't think realistically Farker or any ex-Premier League manager recently would want to come here. I don't buy into the who would want to come here kind of thing that I've seen on Facebook and Twitter lately. If there's an unemployed manager who's been unemployed for a while,
and there's money involved,
and they're usually a championship level manager, or they've got a bit of they're looking at this thinking, oh, that'd be quite a challenge actually.
Yeah, they might.
There's
going
to be people interested.
Yeah,
there's always
people interested. Let's look at Tom Huddleston, for instance. When the right opportunity comes up, you take it, don't you? For me, I'm just going to hate this, but I had a connection with the guy. But for me, it's unrealistic. I'd love Nigel Adkins by me, but I know how much Ant hates him. Ant leaves the room, mic drop. I had a big connection. I love the guy, but
he should never have gone.
Realistically, I think if Grant was to lose his job, I think realistically we'd see just a chain reaction in terms of people being pulled up. So it could be a case of Cliff Byrne steps into the role. Alternatively, we might see Andy Dawson coming in then. Someone coming in on the 23.
What would be the point of that, Cliff Byrne? I'd just give up because it'd be exactly the same formation, and they're so close.
We had a similar thing with Mike Phelan, didn't we, when Bruce left?
I suppose.
Mark Hughes is available.
Mark Hughes.
So is Mick McCarthy, but we're not talking about him either.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to name the most.
I mean, would we want to take a chance on a manager from a bit like McCann, who maybe is inexperienced, but like McCann was supposed to be, especially for the first few months? It was this new manager with new ideas, young and kind of vibrant in a way. Sorry?
The lad at Watford, Ziska Summit.
Yeah, well,
is it Watford? Who's the geezer that was at Lincoln? He got them promoted twice.
Oh, Cowley. Yeah, that'd be a great appointment, I think. Yeah.
I was a bit pissed up on the weekend. I was a bit pissed up on the weekend, and I was talking about bringing them two lads in from the Salford documentary, just to put a bit of fight into it. But I then woke up the next day, sobered up, and regretted my tweet. But that's the joys of drinking. So we've all agreed that Grant won't go, but in a dream world, we'd all like to bring a manager in. Is that right?
Adkins.
Steve Bruce.
No.
Brucey and Adkins would never come back whilst the Alams are still here.
It's funny because when I think of names I'd love to see, all of them are people who would never come back. Like, I'd love to see Barnby back.
Yeah. Can I also put forward why I wouldn't want Adkins? Just only because you compare Adkins and McCann in the Championship with Bowen and Grosicki at the same time. McCann actually did better and had us flirting with the playoffs, with arguably a weaker squad because, he didn't have Henriksen or players like that. McCann only fell off the cliff when we lost them too, which is fair. Adkins dropped a league and went to one of the pre-season promotion favourites in Charlton. Nearly got them up last season, but they kind of just sort of lingered where they were when they hired him anyway. And then this season they were favourites to go up, and they're in the bottom 3. And he's got a worse record than McCann. So
I'm going to use your mindset on that and suggest that, provided we've still got these players and these players don't leave, and how well they did up until those players left, we should be in the Premier League now. And it's all down to Bowen and Grosicki.
you see, the thing is we'd never know where we finished up with if we'd kept Bowen and Grosicki for the end of McCann's first season. We don't know where we would have ended up. We started to fall
losing before the win.
Yeah, we lost a couple beforehand, but it wasn't in a concerning fashion. Like we lost 1-0 to Fulham, and you know it wasn't what we saw post.
The comparisons that were posted about a month or so ago, the comparisons showed it up until the 1st of January. I didn't show it until the end of January when we actually lost them. We lost them on the 26th and the 30th of January. So it didn't show the 5 games in between that where they played really poor. It didn't give any contribution towards the game either. It's besides the point. Me and you could probably talk for days about this, and it's just one of the things that we disagree on. Putting that aside and moving on, I want to move on to previewing the Coventry game. Big game. They are 4th at the moment in the league, and that's on merit. Let's be realistic. We've seen them play. They're really attacking. They like to get forward. They're fast breaking. They move the ball fast, and they like to attack. You know, they scored 20 goals in the league this season. I think it is already. And you don't do that without being good at what you do. I mean, they have got one guy who scored about 9 on the English. That fella.
He's got the same number that we have as a whole.
Yeah, it could have been. If only. If only. But there's a couple of things I wanted to look at from like the league and stuff. They've only conceded 3 less than us, and they're 4th in the league. Bit of a mad stat, that. Don't you think?
I don't think we've actually been that bad at conceding, though. We haven't been absolutely battered, have we? We concede like 2. We've conceded 3 a couple of times, but we don't usually tend to concede more than 2. It's just the fact that we can't score. Like, if we'd have scored the amount of goals that we should have done, given the chances we've had, it'd probably be very similar.
So, has anybody seen the league table? So, I like to look at league tables in terms of where like the home league table and then the away league table. So, in the home league table, we currently sit 21st, and in the away league table, Coventry sit 20th.
Yeah.
Would you have thought that?
Well, they're still better then in that regard.
In fact, we've both got 5 points in our respective leagues, and we've got a -5 goal difference, and they've got a -8.
Ooh. So maybe we're favourites based on that.
Yeah.
Well, they had that game, didn't they? They lost 5-0 to Luton, didn't they? And then
we didn't lose 5-0 to Luton.
At Luton.
Yeah, but we also drew 0-0 with Bournemouth. And look where we are.
Yeah.
Bournemouth have failed to score against 2 teams this season in the league. Do you know who they are?
One of them
this morning.
Barnsley and us.
No,
it was us and someone.
Peterborough.
I saw the Red Cherries posted
right.
something about being unbeaten. I was like, well, there's only 2 teams you haven't scored against. It's us and Peterborough.
That's typical, isn't it?
Well, no, I'd rather be.
Well,
Peterborough. Hey, it's about getting a little wins in life, man. You get them as and when you can. All right, and that's a little win for us.
We can't.
Scored against us, have you?
I've tried.
Yeah.
I can't.
So I'm gonna ask this then. So in terms of lineups, I'm not going to paint the scene on this one, Nathaniel. So you're safe. What we're going for in terms of changes. I'll start with you, Will.
None.
Is this
I think
realistic?
I think he'll.
Want?
Oh, are we giving our own, or are we giving what we think Grant will give? Because I think he'll make no changes.
I was going to say, should we do a one that we'd like to see and one that he will probably do?
Well, the one he'll probably do, it's just exactly the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I'd like to see is 3-5-2, as I say every single week.
Yeah. So for the purpose of the podcast, if you give me an answer, Will.
Okay then. Ingram in goal, back 3 of Big Dish.
Big D.
Jones is still injured. So McLaughlin and Greaves. Wing backs of what?
Who's middle of the three?
Probably McLaughlin.
McLaughlin, because he won't advance up the pitch as much as
Yeah.
Bernard and Greaves. You want your progressive
Exactly.
centre backs to be the outside ones, ideally.
Wing backs of Emmanuel and I don't know. I would have Elder or would I play Keelan with Potter at left wing back again because he was so good against Borough. Tough one that. But the midfield would be Doherty, Honeyman, and probably Moncare.
It's very attacking.
Maybe Cannon or Moncare. Up front. Actually, I'd have Elder at left wing back and I'd have KLP up front with McGuinness.
Yeah, it could work.
If Tyler Smith disappeared off the face of the earth anywhere.
Both the Smiths have.
Yeah, I feel bad for Matt Smith. Did you see what Grant said in the paper about him coming back?
Well, yeah, he said he was concerned about his numbers because he'd been playing loads for Wales, but isn't that what a young lad's meant to be doing?
No, he didn't play for Wales. He didn't play for
so he's inadvertently then just admitted that Matt Smith is probably our most sharpest player. And he's not playing it.
No, what he meant is because he didn't play and he wasn't training, so he came back unfit with what he said. Yeah, so he didn't play a game, he kicked the ball for him, but didn't train.
Well, that was like 3 games ago now.
Yeah, so how long does it take to get back up to fitness? Do you know what I mean? But he's hardly playing for him anyway, so you weren't exactly playing him yourself, Grant. Anyway, we digress. So are you finishing off up top, you say?
KLP and McGuinness.
KLP and McGuinness. No screaming to Reeves to come back.
Oh no, Impact's up off the bench, Eves.
Yeah.
I'll go to you next, Nathaniel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We could go 3-5-2 again. Might as well. I mean, yeah, basically the same, except I'd have the midfield of I'd have Lewis Potter left wing back because I think that worked so well against Middlesbrough. And that's maybe the only part of the 3-5-2 I thought worked, but and the result. So it's more kind of aesthetic than anything. But and then midfield 3, Cannon like slightly deeper, and then Honeyman and Doherty, and up front, not Emmanuel. I'd have Coyle because his crosses have been really good last few games. And then McGuinness because I know he missed a penalty, but he did score 2 games ago. He's the last player to score for us, and you're going to keep him. And then, I mean, I can't say Wilkes going to get shouted at, and Lewis Potter's left wing back. And then I don't want to play Eves there, and Smith's injured maybe, because otherwise he'd surely be on the bench. I mean, Longman played there. Let's just chuck Longman in. Why not? Yes. I gotta stick with my guns and my joke. So Longman, why not? Nothing else is working.
Brilliant.
I'd like to see the 3-5-2, obviously. I'd put Ingram in goal. Don't know why I called it Ingram. Ingram in goal. Emmanuel in right wing back. I'd have Coyle as the right-hand defender in the back 3. I'd have Coyle there, Bernard and Greaves, and then I'd have Elder in left wing back. I'd have Cannon, Doherty and Honeyman as a midfield 3, and then I would have Eves and KLP up top.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Eves has looked far better this season as part of a 2 up front, and even when he came on against Peterborough, he hit the bar and he looked dangerous again. I just think him with KLP running off alongside him would be quite dangerous. And I know him again, he scored, but I just think his confidence will be shot after that penalty and then us going on to lose. You want a bit of energy and drive in there, and I think Eves will have that.
So I'm going to go for something we haven't said before. I'm going to go for a 4-2-4, mainly to get high up the pitch and press. So I'm going to start with Ingram in goal.
Ingram.
Big D and JG at the back with, I'm making these up now, Emmanuel on the right, Elder on the left. 2 central would probably be Doherty and Cannon for the energy. They're probably going to need it in there. Wide right and left, I'm going to go with Longman one side and Randall Williams other. Completely switch the system up. And up front with McGinnis and KLP.
Oh, there's some people getting dropped in that team.
Yeah, no Honeyman then.
But you would need the wingers. It'd essentially be a 4-4-2 because you'd need the wingers to support the fullbacks. So they'd have to come back.
We're not doing that.
Screw them.
You're trusting our back four as they are.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. They're going to get past the front four.
Dangerous.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that'll be our first tonking.
Yeah. We're sitting on the halfway line. We're going 4-2-4, and they're not making it past the halfway line. We're playing that. We're only half the pitch they're playing, and they're not coming into our.
I think we'll look a bit like Man United just did. Like that.
Yeah.
We did say an unrealistic one, didn't we?
Well, we'll let you have that one.
Anything other than 4-3-3 is unrealistic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, every single one said was unrealistic.
If he did stick with 4-3-3, I think you mentioned it before, Matt, playing Coyle and Emmanuel on the right side.
Yeah. I got laughed at for that.
Never happened.
Never happened. If we did play 4-3-3, I'd love to see that. I know it would never happen, but
it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
At least Coyle would have some defensive cover.
Yeah. And so would Emmanuel.
Yeah, because you'd have them swap constantly.
Yeah.
Overlap.
That's what I used to do in Sunday League.
That's not helping.
Yeah, that's what we used to do, though. We used to play like 3 left wing backs on the same pitch, and we just go all over the shop, just wherever we were needed. That's what we used to do.
Maybe that's what City needs. Proper fucking ridiculous.
It didn't work. We lost 15-0 every week.
Yeah, let's not do that then.
I'm not a big fan of that.
Moving on from that, Coventry currently on their worst run of the season, having only picked up 2 points in the last possible 9. It's not that bad of a run, to be honest, but it's the worst run. So there's a little bit of positive going to it. Does anybody know who the ex-Hull City player is who plays for Coventry?
Think about
I'm just gonna go on my phone and have a look.
Is it Kane?
Waghorn.
No. Oh, Waghorn. Did Waghorn come to Hull for a bit? I'm sure.
Yeah, it was on loan.
Or 2 then.
He's there. Yeah.
Kane plays for him.
Oh yeah, Todd Kane, of course. Yeah.
And the most notable player who was managed by Grant McCann is Ben Chief. Maxi Brother, is it?
Mm.
Yeah. He was managed by him. He's there as well. They score an average of 1.5 goals a game, and we score an average around 0.65 a game. So it's something to look forward to.
That's actually higher than that.
Our goal difference.
Actually,
our goal difference at home. Our goal difference at home is better than their goal difference away. So that's another positive to look at. What I did look at though, I want to finish this on a bit of a nostalgic note, was some stats in terms of when we last played. Does anyone know how far back we have to go to the last time we played them?
When we had.
Don't mention any players.
Was it the Peter Taylor season?
No,
I seem to remember going to Coventry away and watching Nick Barmby score a header in 1-1. I don't know if that was the last time we played him.
I think it was under Pearson.
I think it's the end of that season.
It'll be under Pearson.
So it's 2000. I'm sure this is Barmby era. Last time I played him was 2012. I may be wrong there. It's definitely 2012, but I think it was Barmby.
I think we're the same league then, yeah.
In the last 10 games, we've won 4, lost 4, and drawn 2. Out the last 10. The last game we played against him was a 2-0 loss at home. So that's not a good stat.
Did you win then?
And does anybody know who was the first? Now you know the year, the last time we played him, and the scoreline. Can anybody remember who the first goal scorer was for them?
There.
Yeah.
I can't remember who played for Coventry. I can barely remember who played for us in that year.
Do you ever see
it was Liam Cooper on goal.
How are we ever going to get that?
You might remember. But anyway, it's interesting to know, isn't it? Hey, Nathaniel, stop this. This is stuff for people to talk about on the way to the game. Last time we played these, Liam Cooper scored no goals in the Premier League. Not for Leeds. He's their captain. You know, bit of conversation starter. But what I am going to do is I wrote down the lineup and the subs from that day, and you'll be interested to know some of these names as to where they were then and where they are now. Right, so starting in goal, we had Vito Monone. I'm not sure where he is now, but Vito Monone, anyone remembers him?
He went to
Nana's
Reading,
from
didn't
Hull.
he?
Right back. His Nana's at Hull. His Nana's from Hull. Liam Rosenior. Centre left back was arguably one of the most iconic players of my time supporting City. Andy Dawson. Yeah. Centre backs. Anybody want to guess him?
Well, Liam Cooper's one of them.
Yeah.
Chester and Hobbs.
No, there's only two of them. We only played two at the back with them.
McShane.
No. Oh, Hobbs. Yeah, someone mentioned Hobbs. Yeah, it was Hobbs. But someone just said two. I didn't say yes because you said two. On the right wing, Cameron Stewart. Went on to have a really good season in the Vanarama North, I think it was. So,
he had a good 7 games for us, and then Pearson bid for him from Leicester, and we told him to neff off, and then he just
won it
vanished.
£1 million or something.
Yeah, it was £1 million, and then Nigel Pearson was quoted, I think, quite famously saying that don't even. Oh no, it was Corrin. He said that about, wasn't it? That it won't buy his
right boot.
Yeah.
So left wing was very famous. I enjoyed watching him play every time he got on the pitch. Robbie Brady.
Oh, I liked Brady.
I like Brady.
He's just gone to Bournemouth, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's just gone to Bournemouth, and that's a like for like step in for David Brooks. And you know, anybody listening from Bournemouth, you know, best of luck to David Brooks. Centre mid was Corey Evans, and I might actually.
Paul McKenna.
You should have let me finish that. I was going to send you a father for anybody who gets that right.
You can still see him in the fibre.
Well, I was going to guess as well, because I actually liked Paul McKenna. I'm like one of the 4 people who liked him.
So, yeah, Paul McKenna at centre mid. And then up front was our very famous connection of
Brian McLean.
Yeah, Brighton McLean. I don't think we played that way, though. Didn't we play like a 4-2-3-1? I'm sure we had something like that when Bambi was in charge.
It was like 4-4-1-1, I think it was more like.
Yeah, he played McLean just behind Fryer.
And then on the bench, so we've got just recently played against him, Sonny Bradley. Went on to have a fabulous career at Blackpool, Matt Cullen.
Any in the non-league?
I think so, yeah. Fulham legend.
Thomas Kearney.
There he is. Just bagged an hat-trick against Everton.
Josh King.
Oh, Josh King.
And then currently rated, I think he's 86 on FIFA 22, playing for RB Leipzig.
Galaxy.
On the bench for us.
He was honestly one of the worst goalkeepers I've ever seen in the whole City shirt. I cannot believe the career he's had. And it's also weird hearing those players and thinking, how the hell was Tom Kearney not in above the likes of Paul McKenna, and why was you know what I mean?
I don't think he would ever become the player he has if he hadn't left.
No, probably not. He was influenced by Pollard, wasn't he?
I'm going to bring that in for the future podcast, boys. In terms of bringing a formation in from one of the last times we played him and bring a bit of nostalgia back. So I'll do that. On me, guys, it's been another great podcast. Thank you very much for anybody who's tuned in, listened. It's been a bit of a long one, but thank you very much for your patience and perseverance. I have thoroughly enjoyed making this one. I hope the rest of you guys have done too as well. So from me, it's a massive thank you and goodbye, and I'm sure it's the same for everybody else.
Cheers.